Hey, welcome back to Friday Bullpen Sessions. My name is Andy Neary, and this is episode 102 today. Today, I'm going to talk to you about how you can leave your competition in the dust. As you can see, if you're watching the live stream, I'm in my home studio. No fancy backgrounds today. We've got company, so I am just going to hit record and let's rock and roll. If you like math, you are going to love this episode. I'm going to break down today how you can leave your competition in the dust from a mathematical standpoint. Now, when I say the words leaving your competition in the dust, I know that intrigued you a little bit. What's the secret, Andy? What's the silver bullet? Is there a hack? What can I do to get ahead of my competition? But I'm just going to break down some simple numbers for you so you could see how you could literally leave the pack behind forever. And it has nothing to do with knowledge. It has nothing to do with secret sales strategies. It has nothing to do with reading the right books, attending the right conferences, jumping on the right webinars. No. I'm just going to literally show you simply how you can outwork your competition by simply taking care of yourself. What? What am I talking about? Well, let me set the foundation here of where this conversation started. There are two individuals I follow on social media that I have great respect for. I've never met either one of them, but I consider both of them mentors. First one is Ed Mylett. If you don't follow Ed Mylett, his last name is Mylett, Ed Mylett. Start following him today, whether it's listening to his podcast or jumping on YouTube, watching a bunch of videos of his. The other one is Ryan Serhant. Now, the Ryan Serhant name, it may sound familiar to you. If you've ever watched the real estate show, $1 Million Listing New York, Ryan is one of the 3-4 brokers that they highlight that he's part of in that reality show. He's been on the show, gosh, seems like 10, 12 years now. So I follow these two guys a lot on YouTube. I watch a lot of instructional video. Not only are they great at their craft, they're great mentors. They have great knowledge and insight to pass on to others. And I was listening to a podcast episode, ironically, between the two of them. Ed had Ryan Serhant on his podcast. And a quick reference for Ed Mylett's podcast, I believe it's called Maxing Out. And so in this episode, Ryan was sharing one of his secrets of how he gets ahead of his competition. And number one, it starts with simply getting up earlier every day. And so he talked about how, him having a morning routine where he gets up every single day. He gets up as early as 4 o'clock in the morning. He goes right to the gym. He works out, but he talked about how his morning routine is what sets him apart from his competition. It's how he gets those additional hours on the competition. And that's what I want to share with you today. Because when I was listening to this podcast, I started doing some of my own math. I started to put numbers down on paper of kind of the morning routines Amy and I roll with each and every day. And I'm proud to say that we are very, very consistent with them. I don't know if there's a day we miss these morning routines. I'm even guilty of doing them when we're on vacation. But when I think about what I do every morning to get myself ahead of the competition, and I start plugging the math and numbers behind it, it gets pretty staggering. And then there's going to be a step 2 that I want to apply to this formula that Serhant and Mylett did not get to, but I want to share with you today because I think it's just as important. So when we dive into how you can get ahead of your competition right now, again, I'm not about to share any knowledge bombs with you. I'm not about to share how to out strategize your competition. There's no secret sauce. There's no secret hack. It simply comes down to this. If you make your mornings the place where you put your mind and body in the best position to win, you will start setting yourself apart from your competition. What do I mean by that? Well, every morning I get up at roughly 4:30 a.m. And I have a morning routine. If you listen to my recent podcast episode, I walked through that morning routine. I have a morning routine I go to. It is locked in. It is something I do not miss. Heck, I've gotten to the point now where I go to bed. I'm excited to do it in the morning, but I've also realized one of the reasons I love doing it so much is by the time I'm done with my morning routine, my confidence is as high as it could be. In fact, we were just on vacation last week and Amy asked why I don't take time away from my morning routines while we're on vacation. Andy, relax a little, let it go, sleep in a little. And I said, here's the problem. When I do the morning routine, I feel so confident. Why would I give that up even when we're on vacation, even when we're taking a break? And so I get into this morning routine, which includes, my instructional videos, my cold showers, my breath work, my meditation, exercise, journaling, all that stuff. And when I think about it, my competition isn't even up yet by the time I'm done with that morning routine. So let's start applying the math. If I'm getting up at 5:30 every morning, or 4:30 every morning, and the average person out there is waking up about 6 a.m., I'm giving myself a 90-minute head start to every single day on that individual. Now you start applying the math. You give yourself 90 minutes for 365 days a year. We're talking about nearly 550 hours. Now, here's the key. I'm not only giving myself an extra 90 minutes on the competition, I am actually doing proactive work to put my mind and my body in the best position to win during those 90 minutes. If you're getting up at 4:30 and you're just turning on the news, you're reading the newspaper, you're laying around, you're not doing anything, those 90 minutes mean nothing. Waking up 90 minutes earlier than your competition isn't going to do anything for you. However, if you wake up 90 minutes earlier and you apply a morning routine to put your mind and your body, like I've talked about, like an athlete, in a position to put yourself in the best position to win that day, you are giving yourself an extra 550 hours. Comes out to be 547.5 hours if you're doing the math. Every single year on your competition. If I said I'm going to give you an extra 550 hours on those you compete with in your market, would you take it? I hope so. So that's where it starts. It starts with that morning routine, getting up earlier, doing what it takes, whether it's reading instructional content, books, watching videos, meditating, journaling, exercising. I don't care what it is. Getting up earlier to go to work on your mind and the body so you can go all out that day is one of the most important things you can do. In fact, I believe it is the most important thing you can do. Now, here's where I apply part 2 to the math equation of how you set yourself above and beyond the competition. Now, when I share this, I hope I don't jinx myself by sharing some of this stuff, but it's important and I want to share it. The part 2 to this equation is, what are you doing to take care of your mind and body? Yeah, there's definitely an advantage if you don't have to spend a certain number of days each and every year dealing with feeling under the weather, dealing with illness. Even if you're at work, we all know when you're not feeling good, you're not productive. You're not getting stuff done. You're not focused. Now, I'm careful in saying this because obviously we're still dealing with a global pandemic where people are dealing with illnesses that are out of their control. I completely understand that. But hear me out here. Because I go to work, Amy and I go to work so diligently on taking care of our minds and taking care of our bodies and our minds are in peak shape. I can tell you right now, I have not missed a day of work. This is where the knock on wood moment comes in. I have not missed a day of work in probably 3 years, maybe even more. Now let's start doing the math. If the average individual out there that's listening in deals with illness or feeling under the weather where they're not productive, on average, about 10 days a year, and you work an average of an 8-hour workday, for some of you, it's even more than that, that's 80 hours a year. So if you are able to show up every day, show up focused, show up in peak shape with your body and your mind, you are again giving yourself an extra 80 hours on your competition. The average competitor who's dealing with being sick where they literally can't work that day or feeling under the weather where they're not productive for about 10 days a year. I'm probably being conservative with that if you want to be honest. But let's start applying the math. Now we've got an extra 80 hours on our competition because we're in good shape. Our mind and our body, we're not sick. We're not dealing with illness. We're showing up focused every single day. We don't have to miss work because of illness. And then we've got the extra 550 hours because we're getting up earlier every morning and proactively putting our minds and our bodies in the best position to win for that day. Add those up, we're talking now about roughly 630 hours a year. Now, let me break that down to you in a number that's going to make a lot of sense. If I take 627 hours and I divide that out by 24 hours that we have every single day, I am giving myself 26 days head start on my competition. Think about that. Again, if I came to you right now and I said, listen, I've got a strategy that's going to allow you to get a 26-day head start on your competition, would you take it? Bet you would. And as I said at the beginning of this podcast, it's nothing to do with your knowledge. It has nothing to do with your ability to outsell your competition. It's not about attending that next webinar that's out there, that conference that's going to change everything for you. No, it's literally just focusing on taking care of your mind and your body. It's that simple. It's getting up a little bit earlier, putting yourself in the best position to win. It's spending the time and the money to put the right fuel and nutrition in your body so that your body is in peak state. It's about exercising, which for you could be walking, lifting, running, cycling. I don't know what it is, but when you put the time in the effort into taking care of those two things above and beyond everything else, you're going to leave your competition in the dust. It's that simple. I shared with you, this is how you get 627 hours head start on your competition. So do yourself a favor today. If you're out there and you know that you could do a little bit better right now with your morning routine, you know that you're not exercising as much as you could, you know that since the pandemic, past 12 months, maybe you haven't been putting the best things in your mouth when you sit down to eat your meals. This is where you need to start. You need to start with how you are taking care of yourself. That's your body, that's your mind. What are you feeding your body and your mind, right? What are the books you're reading, the videos you're watching? Who are you hanging around? That all comes into play in making sure your mind and your body are in peak state. So if you apply this rule, again, this isn't rocket science, guys. This is getting up a little bit earlier, being very proactive and diligent and very consistent about your morning routine. And it's about making sure the right things are going in your body, the right things are going in your mind. It's about keeping your mind and your body in constant movement. You do all of this, your competition won't be able to keep up. So that's my advice for you today. I hope it helps. I hope you are able to take this and run with it starting today, because this is the strategy Amy and I have deployed for the past 5-6 years. And it's the strategy I use right now that I know is giving me a leg up on my competition. And I hope it does for you as well. So that's all I got for Friday Bullpen Sessions. I hope you have a great weekend. And again, do me a favor. If you're finding these episodes to be of extreme value, just simply go subscribe to the Bullpen Sessions podcast. Give it a 5-star rating. Leave a review. Share it with friends. I'd be super grateful. And until we meet again next week, you know what happens when clarity and confidence collide? Massive action happens. Go make it happen today.